Pokemon Company are always in the lab cooking up pre-constructed decks for us, and they recently revealed 2 more. I'm Jet from InThirdPerson.com. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about the new EX battle decks featuring Victini and Miraidon. Both of these decks are level 1 products, so if you're looking to get into the Pokemon trading card game or you want a beginner friendly deck for whatever reason, this level of deck is perfect for you. These ones are going to be coming out on July 12th, 2024, and they will retail for $9.99 US each. Let's start with the Miraidon deck. This one actually features an alternate art of the Miraidon EX that comes from Obsidian Flames. This is the Miraidon EX that nobody talks about because it's not that great. It does have some merit. It is a 220 HP lightning Pokemon with free retreat, so if you're looking for a bulky pivot Pokemon, this could be it. It's got 2 subpar moves. They're not the worst. Rapid Draw for 1 lightning energy does 20 damage and you get to draw 2 cards. And then Techno Turbo for 3 lightning energy does 150 damage and you get to attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. So like the Rapid Draw, you're not going to use that at all. Free Pivot is not bad. Techno Turbo for 150, that's not really good enough. For the most part, you will knock out some basic and stage 1 non-rule box Pokemon, and attaching an energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon is nice, especially when modern Miraidon decks kind of struggle with keeping energy on the board. However, it's just not the best Miraidon out there. It's actually probably the worst one. We'll get to that in a sec, but yeah, here's a look at the back of the box. We don't have any deck lists yet, but there isn't really any notable Pokemon here. I'm assuming it's the standard issue of just here's a bunch of random Pokemon that you can power up with the same type of energy as the primary attacker. And we're getting just a heads up, we are getting 1 EX card in this deck, so you're getting 1 copy of Miraidon EX in a bunch of sort of like easy beginner friendly Pokemon, but the deck in and of itself is not going to be particularly strong. The one curious thing in both of these decks is that they both feature the Cyclizar, the one that has free retreat, which makes me think maybe there's some Magma Basin or Electric Generator action going on between the 2 decks, which is actually kind of nice. So we have an extra free pivot so you can power them up on the bench and then they can get swinging. But I'm not holding out hope that these decks are going to be particularly strong. They generally aren't. And then just Miraidon EX as a base Pokemon is the worst Miraidon they could have picked. We already have a Miraidon EX League Battle deck. They've used that for the level 3, which is great. And then in Temporal Forces, we got the Dragon type Miraidon, which actually has 2 decent attacks, and it does really well in the context of a future box deck where the Cyber Drive move can actually do upwards of like 300 damage if you've got all the Iron Crowns in play and a future booster capsule. So we're hitting some relevant numbers here. Unfortunately, Miraidon, yes, it has free retreat, but its attacks are a little too subpar. Like maybe at most you run a 1 of this Miraidon EX in your Miraidon deck just as a free pivot and maybe an extra way of accelerating energy while doing some damage, but it's not the best option. And I kind of alluded to it just now, but there are now 3 pre-constructed decks that feature Miraidon EX. And now Zapdos is a little different. It has Miraidon. However, the other 2 products, they're actually kind of breaking their own precedent here, where normally we see a Pokemon and we don't see it in other products. So like a Miraidon showing up in a League Battle deck usually disqualifies it from appearing as the feature Pokemon in these other products. Now they're kind of cheating here in the sense that this Miraidon in the EX battle deck is not the same as the League Battle deck one, but it does create some extra confusion of like you go to the store and you want the Miraidon deck and you get the EX deck when you wanted the League Battle deck or vice versa. I do think it's kind of a curious choice for them to use Miraidon yet again when they've got Miraidon on all these other products. I guess maybe one could argue if you buy the League Battle deck, you could buy all of these and put them all in a deck together, right? Getting an extra Zapdos as a sniping option and having this Miraidon as an early game accelerate. I get it, I guess, but I don't necessarily agree with the approach here. I think you can do worse than the Miraidon EX battle deck within the context of these EX battle decks, but it's not my favorite. As for Victini, this one, there's not really much to write home about. 190 HP is low for a EX, especially one that is attacking. Its strafe attack for 1 fire does 30 damage, and you can switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon, protect it a little bit while you power it up some other way. Hopefully there's Magma Basin in this deck to power it up a little faster. And then Victory Flame for 2 fire and a colorless does 220 damage, and during your next turn this Pokemon can't attack. You could just use switch cards to move it in and out of the active to negate that effect so you can attack on back-to-back turns, but this is a very vanilla attack. It will knock out basic EXs and basic Vs, most of them anyway, but it's a very vanilla attack and there's nothing really to write home about here. Here's a look at the back of the box. Again, we don't have deck lists, and based on the other Pokemon here, not really seeing anything particularly interesting here other than the Cyclizar with the free retreat. Makes me hopeful that there's at least Magma Basin in here so that we can power this up a little more efficiently. Otherwise, having to manually attach to Victini for 3 turns feels pretty bad. Of these two decks, I think that the Miraidon one is the way to go. It does have a free retreat. It's got an attack that also helps you power up the bench. And I think the utility of being able to potentially plug it into the Zapdos Deluxe Battle deck or the Miraidon League Battle deck make it a little more valuable than this Victini one. If you really like Victini, you'll probably be fine with this as a beginner level deck. But I do like the fact that the Miraidon deck has like a little bit more utility. That being said, if you are looking for a lightning based deck or one with Miraidon in it, the EX battle deck is probably the worst one. I would definitely steer people, unless you're looking for a beginner level deck, but anything past that, definitely go for the Miraidon League battle deck. And even the Zapdos deck, which I've been very critical of in the past, is probably going to be notably better than the Miraidon EX deck. All that said, I personally still prefer the Chen Pao EX battle deck. If you're going to get any of the decks in the EX line, I think that the Chen Pao one is the gold standard because Chen Pao is still a meta relevant Pokemon, and you can it's going to take a lot of work, but you can upgrade this to be a competitive level deck. And not only that, the support Pokemon you're getting in here, the Frigabacks, the Arctobacs, these are all meta relevant cards as well, where you can upgrade this into a good deck, unlike the Victini and the Miraidon here, where they're basically going to be stuck as beginner level products with no competitive ceiling after that, versus the Chen Pao, where yeah, if you really wanted to, you could upgrade this to be competitively viable. And I guess if you're looking for something different but still kind of playable, maybe the Tinkaton one. I know a lot of people love Tinkaton EX. They do have a deluxe battle deck of Tinkaton, and if you really wanted to go at it, you could upgrade that and make it kind of a fun rogue tier deck as well. But what say you? Are you interested at all in these new EX battle decks, the Miraidon one or the Victini one? Let me know in the comments below. But for now, I gotta get going. Thank you so much for watching. You can find me on all the things: YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at In Third Person. You can find me on Twitch at In Third Person, where I stream the Pokemon trading card game every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And check out the website, inthirdperson.com, for more articles and videos on video games, board games, and other nerdy pursuits. So until the next one, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.